Alright, welcome to a video where I yap about my new Yamaha R6. There's a lot going on with this motorcycle, so I've been requested to talk about different parts and different things, make a little video out of it, so anyone who's interested can hear me yap. Okay, so starting out, it's a 2009 Yamaha R6. Okay, there are lots of modifications and different things on this motorcycle that are a little different from how it was from factory. Basically, if you look at this motorcycle, most of what you see is actually not original to the bike. I guess maybe 50-50. Starting off with the color of the motorcycle. So this motorcycle in particular has a fairing kit. So these are the different fairings and different plastic pieces on the motorcycle. This you can kind of see in the edges here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. It actually originally was an orange motorcycle. I don't know exactly how long these colors have been on there. Let me turn it off here. But it's like maybe a $650 set of fairings. Okay, I like the colors, they match my helmet and whatnot. There was one time the previous owner was riding along, hit a bump, and lost control of the bike a little bit and slid. So this fairing is cracked here. Hopefully you can see that, but down there the fairing's cracked. Has a couple of scrapes near there, but other than that the bike's in great mechanical condition. Now there are some pieces to avoid scratches and issues if the bike were to fall over again, which hopefully I don't ever experience. But on the end of the handlebars here we have bar sliders, I believe they're called, but these are frame sliders, and got similar ones down here, but different things to protect the parts of the bike if it were to fall over. Okay, other modifications include these tank grips. Okay, these little black pieces on here. So these are, I don't know if they came with the kit for the fairings, and you can see a little more of the orange down there. I didn't notice before, but we have tank grips. So when you're riding the motorcycle, your legs, your inner thighs will grip the tank of the motorcycle, give you a little more control over the bike. So you can imagine your foot goes here on the peg, and then your kind of inner leg would grip the tank there. So tank grips help you control the bike a little bit more. This also has a Yoshimura, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but a Yoshimura, you can kind of see how it's spelled here, exhaust. Okay, normally when you get an exhaust for a motorcycle, it'll come with just this little piece, the I guess muffler. Okay, but this particular one has not just that end piece, but all the way from the headers, my understanding, or at least maybe not just, maybe the headers are original, but the majority of the exhaust is modified. Okay, I'm saying okay a lot, but it still does have a catalytic converter and everything, but the bike sounds a little bit better. I'll flip it on here so we can listen to it. Maybe. Maybe. There we go. So, thank you. So, okay, so that's what it sounds like. The kids are interested. That's funny. Not too much to say about the way it sounds. You'll hear it more when I ride later. We'll give it a couple of revs. Okay. So that's about that. Okay. Speaking about the revs, so this is the tachometer. So it's got a digital gauge for the speedo, for the speed. I haven't quite figured out exactly when it decides I can turn this key and when it doesn't. I don't know, that worked. But anyway. So here we got the speed. It's got the time, but the time's not accurate, so I'll have to figure that out at some point. We got the tachometer, so that's how many RPMs, how many rotations the engine makes at any given moment, and that obviously rotations per minute, and that's times 1,000. So currently it's a 0,000 because the bike's not running. But at idle, it'll usually be around 1.5, somewhere around there. Now, this particular motorcycle, one of the things that makes it very unique is how high this goes. Okay, so we got up to 16. You can kind of see that red line comes at around 16,500 RPM. There are claims that's not 100% accurate, but even if it's close, this motorcycle will get many higher numbers of RPMs, many more rotations per minute versus most if you're really ringing it up. So imagine that the engine spins really fast. Okay, the engine on here, or in this motorcycle, is 600 cc's, so that's cubic centimeters. Some Harleys will be measured in inches, but most motorcycles are measured in cc's, and that's technically the amount of air that you can fit in the cylinders where the pistons are. I believe something along those lines. But that's one way to measure the size of an engine. Okay, and that includes the depth of that hole and the diameter and all that. So in this one it is 599, I believe it actually is, cubic centimeters. Centimeters? Yeah, I believe that's correct. Okay, and then the Honda Rebel that I sold was 250, and I think it's actually in reality like 239 or something like that. Okay, there are a couple of other kind of nerdy things and a couple other modifications. So I guess sticking with the modifications first, got grips here. Always nice to have good grips. I might end up replacing these at some point. They're a little bit worn in, which is not an issue, but might be nice to get some new ones on there at some point. We got levers here. This is the clutch lever. This is the front brake lever. These are adjustable, so you flip this dial and it'll adjust how far or how close the lever is there to where you're holding. Okay, so we got that one, the clutch on the left. On the brake, the front brake, we have the same adjustability, so you can put it there or move it. I don't know how well you guys can see this, or put it all the way out there. Other things, normal operations on the motorcycle. This is the on switch, and then we have the key, and then this is the starter button. So this would be run, this is stop, and then that would be when you're just turning it on. Okay, you have to have the key in and on, and this on run and press start. So there's, I guess, a lot involved. Okay, other modifications, looking around, it's got this little phone mount here. Okay, I haven't used that yet, but it exists. And then this here, the steering dampener. This is a little bit of a complicated device, but the idea of the steering dampener is to prevent any super quick adjustments to the steering. In reality, you can still make quick adjustments, but this device is sort of a safety measure that a lot of new bikes come with automatically, or from factory. This one did not come with it from factory. This is a modification. the previous owner, when he hit that bump, the bike, there was a speed wobble. So when you're going a certain speed, when instability is introduced to the bike, which could be from rider inputs or in this case from a bump, the front wheel can kind of go a little crazy. The best thing in that situation to do is kind of not grip too hard on the bike. Don't try to correct it too much, kind of let it off. Usually you can apply some brake and slow down, rear brake. But anyway, the idea is you don't want to, hold on tight and try to fix it, or you'll get thrown off the bike. But this is intended to prevent situations like that. So if you were in a situation where you normally would have speed wobble, they call it, that's supposed to prevent that. So another little safety mechanism, which is very nice to have. We do have traditional front and rear brake discs and calipers. So we got this one over here. In the front, we have 2 rotors, and here we have 2 pistons in the calipers, and that's on each side there. This rear brake on the Rebel was drum brakes in the rear on the Rebel, but on the R6, since it goes a little quicker, you won't be able to stop just as fast, so you got a little more powerful rear brakes, which are in this case disc brakes. You'll see just one piston there. The majority of the braking done on a motorcycle is done by the front brake, which again is controlled by this. The rear brake is controlled down here with this by your foot. On the opposite side, we have a shifter. Okay, this R6 has a regular shifter like you'd see on any other motorcycle. There's 2 types of modifications there could have been done on this one that were not done, and I prefer the way it is currently. So currently, if you say this is your foot, you'd be in neutral ideally when you start the bike. If you want to go into first, you push down on this right here, so I can show you what that looks like. So push down. Okay, it doesn't go too far. Put it in first gear. That should be neutral, but there you go. And you'll see the neutral light confirms that it is in neutral. But yeah, so it's 1 down, and then this has 6 gears total. So then if you tap it just a little bit up, like I did, then it goes into neutral. And then if you tap it again up, it'll go into 2nd gear, again 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then 6th. On the Rebel, there were only 5 gears total. This motorcycle, I was talking earlier about the engine size. It's also a little bit more of, well, obviously, you can see it's a sportier bike. It's meant to go a little quicker. So, the engine in this motorcycle makes about 129 horsepower. In the Rebel, is not meant to be a quick bike at all. So it only made 17 horsepower, which is very low even for starter bikes and cruisers. But anyway, so that's kind of power figures. And then this motorcycle, they say these can get up to, I think, 165 miles per hour approximately. You might hear arguments that it's a little less than that or whatever. I'm not planning on finding out. I don't see any need in my lifetime to try to go 165 miles an hour. It's just not practical, in my opinion. We do have little passenger foot pegs and a passenger seat. I guess I can go over the controls a little bit more for those of you who aren't too familiar with motorcycle controls. First of all, you tend to, or the recommendation is to always get on the bike from the left side, because the kickstand tends to be on the left side. It's just a little bit better, they say, at least in the MSF courses, they say to get on the bike from the left side. What else do we have here? Alright, so kickstand. On the left side, you can kick it up. Like I said, the bike's in neutral, so if I let go, you'll notice I am moving. I don't want to be moving, so I got two options: front brake, or more convenient most of the time, I don't know if you can see, but the rear brake by my foot. Okay, we got turn signals here. Got left turn signal and right turn signal. If I take a look here, okay, so yeah, this is one of the last modifications I forgot to mention. Down here, we got an integrated taillight. So you'll see the yellow flashing turn signal is inside the brake light. Okay, that is not allowed according to federal regulations. So I could get a ticket for having a turn signal within the brake light. Okay, I plan on reverting back to stock where you have little turn signals on either side. The turn signals, according to the regulation, have to be 4 inches away from the tail light, from the brake light, and 9 inches apart from each other. So that's why most motorcycles have a little thing coming down and then little turn signals off each side. Okay, the other thing going on with my current my turn signal situation, if I press the turn signal to the right, you can see I'm struggling to get it to stay on. So if I had someone else, I'd be able to see if it's even coming on with the light. And there is a little piece of duct tape in here, so I don't know what was going on with the turn signal. It looks like I'm not the first person to encounter an issue with it. And then we do have a horn. I don't know if I've heard the horn yet. Let's listen. Okay, so that's the horn. Like I said, I hadn't really heard it before. I might have heard it once, I don't know. Okay, interesting. So we do have the right turn signal on right now, and it is blinking, but I don't want it to be on, so it's a work in progress. So you'll notice I got one light on and one light off. This is actually fine. Let me close my visor, maybe that'll make it a little quieter. But the light on the left, or from this perspective, the left, it's really on the right from the rider's perspective. This is your regular running light. And then at nighttime, you can flip on your high beam, which is the one on the right. The tires, the front tire needs replaced, is about 5 years old. The rear tire looks pretty good. And I'm sorry if you can't hear me too well, but it looks pretty good as far as tread depth and all that. It's a few years old, so I might replace it, but I'm not certain yet on that. But let's go for a ride. But the bike feels great. I mean, I do not have any major complaints about this bike other than the turn signals, which I guess I would classify as a minor complaint because I know that those can be fixed. It's either a wiring issue or it might be a mechanical issue with the actual button. But I want to switch out the turn signals anyway. I don't really like the integrated taillight. I think it looks cool, but I'm not really here to just look cool. I want to enjoy my bike and not get run over. So I want people to know where I'm going. I'm a huge advocate for using turn signals. So even though nobody's around, I'm gonna try here. So you can tell the bike can go slow. It does fine. I'm a little bit inexperienced with real slow speed turns in this motorcycle. So like I said a minute ago, I want to try to get a little more comfortable with that. You want to really use the clutch. So if you don't know, the clutch is physically a little plate that goes between the flywheel and the engine, but basically it's between the engine and the transmission. And then the transmission is the bunch of gears that you have before the power will get to the wheels of the motorcycle. And it's the same with a car, especially a manual transmission car. But with the clutch, that's that lever there, you can disconnect the power. So I mean, I can rev up the engine, but I'm not going to go any faster if I got the clutch pulled in. But in addition to that, you can kind of regulate the amount of power. So sometimes, especially with a motorcycle like this, the throttle is real sensitive. So if you use the clutch, you can use a little bit less of the power. So here I'm just kind of easing it in, and then once I have that release, I can use my right hand, the throttle, to impact how fast I'm going. But anyway, but you can disconnect the engine from the transmission, so you can make a change in the transmission. So if you want to go from first gear to second gear or something like that, then you don't really want to be switching gears while the engine's supplying power, because you could damage the transmission, or you can put a jolt through the system. It's a lot more comfortable, and obviously better for all the working parts if you use your clutch for that. Now when you're in a turn, it's especially important to be using the clutch. Now that was a bad example there. I didn't touch the clutch on that turn, but that's because I was at a certain range, and again with the turn signal. With this seating position, I do notice my hands are getting kind of sore pretty quickly here. Gave it a little more gas there than I meant to, but again, with having a clutch, it's nice. Even if I do that, if I have the clutch pulled in most of the way, it doesn't really affect the bike, necessarily. So the engine will speed up, but I won't. So the clutch is your best friend. That and the brake. Really the whole bike is your best friend most of the time. But anyway, hopefully you guys can hear me during this. I do have my visor up, so it's probably a little bit windy, but hopefully it's all right. Maybe we'll go to the park after this. So again, I'm going to lift up a little bit. Now that's not too much of a bump, so I didn't have to stand up the whole way off the bike. But let me see if I can do a little tour of the park. Bother people too much here. The bike is a little bit loud, but even the little Honda Rebel that I had, since I didn't have baffles in the exhaust, it was a little bit loud as well. And particularly on a bridge like this with the walls of stone, it's a little extra loud there. But let's go left here. And let me double check if I'm still recording. Yep. Okay. So we'll do a casual little ride through the park. So I like second gear on this motorcycle so far. Second gear, it doesn't seem too touchy. Still enough power for, if I want to quickly accelerate like that. I can, but I don't feel like I'm uncomfortable. So, most vehicles you'll have that, first gear. Some vehicles, they even call it a granny gear, because you don't really use first gear too much except from a stop. Getting the sniffles a little bit from it being a little chilly, even though it's about 40 degrees at the moment. So I don't know if there's a softball game up there or what's going on, but something's happening. So again, especially with going real slow, using the clutch is real helpful. So yeah, it does look like a teal softball game is going on at the moment. So hopefully I'm not bothering people. Try to keep the RPMs low. Do stealth mode. Yeah, this bike is not very stealthy. So use both brakes, front and rear, coming down the hill. Want to be nice and controlled. Engine braking as well. You can use the engine to slow you down a little bit too. So, you know, if I, let's say, going 20 miles an hour, if I'm in first gear, and I let go of my right hand, which I don't want to let go the whole way, but you'll see I did not apply any brakes there, the engine slowed down. Now if I put myself in neutral, which I don't know if this is really a smart move, but I don't even think yeah, okay. So then if I let go, see it still slows down, but not quite as quickly. So, you know, that's engine braking. Now, when you're coming into a red light or something, you want to slow the vehicle down. This is the same thing you can do in a manual car, but with a motorcycle. Whoop, little bump. If you put yourself in a lower gear, then it'll help slow down the vehicle. So, you know, put yourself in a lower gear and then use the brake as well. Helps out just a little bit, helps you slow down a little quicker, but in moderation. I think it's a very, very helpful tool, and especially, you know, if anything were to happen with your brakes, even if they're just a little less sensitive than a typical day, or maybe you're using the brakes a lot, maybe you're in stop and go traffic and they get a little hot, they don't perform as well, you can use engine braking to help out. So anyway, I really am yapping today, but that's all right. That's what you guys are here for, I suppose. If you made it this far, maybe you don't mind my yapping. But if you made it this far, your name is not Julia, because Julia does not appreciate my yapping sometimes. Let's see if this guy wants to go. Okay. Yeah, I'm still working on adjusting the mirrors a little bit. Currently, most of the time, if I'm looking in the mirrors, I just see my elbows, or the inside of my elbows anyway. And that's not what I want to see. I want to see the cars behind me. I didn't really have that issue so much in the Rebel, so I assume these mirrors can be adjusted so that's not the case. But sometimes, well, you know what they say about assuming. So let's go right here. Maybe. It's yeah, normally I'd stop behind the crosswalk, but I do want to inch forward and see what we're dealing with here. I'm gonna head out. I haven't been on 18 or any of the bigger roads yet. I don't know if I should right now. I don't know if I want to go the whole way out to Hermitage at the moment. So we'll see how I do with this hill start, but it should be fine. Yeah, we'll go on the main road. We do have a left turn signal, which is nice. close my visor. So one of the main reasons I wanted this motorcycle is for this particular road, because on my daily commute, the motorcycle that I had before, it just didn't have enough power. There were situations where I would want to pass a car and then a car would come behind me, and then I just didn't feel comfortable trying to make that engine work hard enough to pass. And I don't ever want to be in a situation where I need the power to pass someone and I don't have it. Obviously this bike has enough power that it's dangerous, and you have to be respectful to the motorcycle, you have to be respectful to yourself, and you have to be responsible about the way that you ride the motorcycle. But it's nice to have the power. I can kind of situate myself where I'm almost upright, but it's not really a way that I would want to ride consistently. Now I can also lean down, you know, go like this. But, you know, I'm not Ricky Racer today. Poor deer, I don't know if you saw that. But on my Rebel, I mean, you can see the bike is very comfortable at this speed, 60 miles an hour, 55. On the Rebel, not so much. So I kind of have to lift my arm up to see if anyone's going to pass me there. I want to work on that. I don't know if I have to get a little extender for that portion of the mirror, or what I have to do. But anyway, I don't know how much longer I'll film here. I'll just ride a little on this road. Eventually I'll turn around. Might just go to the transfer sheets and turn around. But my battery's probably getting a little low. I think I'm still recording for now. But I guess I'll say adios. Bye. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.